Hello, welcome back to another episode of Wealth with Joanne. I am Joanne, and I want to talk about today why we get so angry before our period. Have you ever had those few days before your period where everybody and everything absolutely annoys you? Your partner's chewing too loudly, someone asks you one simple question and you want to scream, your jeans are tight, you're tired, you're bloated, your patience is on the floor, and suddenly your whole life feels like it's hanging by a thread. You're snapping, you're overstimulated, you're crying, then you're angry, then you're crying. You want to cancel plans, quit your job, move country, and possibly file for divorce all in the same afternoon. Welcome to the luteal phase rage. Little cute face, just a little cute face now, head on hands. And if you know, you know. And this is inspired by my own luteal phase last week. I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast, just because of the country that I live in, but I did have a disagreement with one of my neighbours over something, and it was right in this time. So I just couldn't control. I didn't go mad. I did control myself. There's just a situation that annoys me, and I thought, okay, I'm going to talk to them about it, and it didn't go the way that I planned, and I felt like I got a little bit too emotionally involved in the, especially how I felt after, because of where I was in my cycle. And it's one of those things that we can laugh at. And it's one of those things that women joke about all of the time. I love the reels on Instagram where they show follicular phase, ovulation, luteal, and then your menstrual phase. But underneath the jokes, there is a very real question of, why do I feel like a different person every single month through to every single week? Why do I get so irrationally angry before my period? And I think the most important thing, how do I stop feeling like I'm losing my mind for 10 days? It can be 10 days of the month. I was talking to my husband about this when I was going through my own, phase. And, when you break it down, we really only have 2 weeks where we feel amazing. Because once we get past ovulation, again, just based on an average cycle, once we get past ovulation, it's, all downhill from there. So, we get about 2 weeks where we feel like our normal selves. So we're going to talk about luteal phase rage today, what it is, why it happens, and how we can support ourselves through it. So we're going to start with the basics. What is the luteal phase? So the luteal phase is the part that I've just mentioned, the second half of our cycle. So once we finish ovulating, our body moves into this post-ovulation phase, which usually lasts around 12 to 14 days, basically until your bleed arrives. Now, hormonally, it's a big shift. So our progesterone rises, and I say it like that, progesterone. So progesterone is the hormone that's getting us ready for gestation, pregnancy. So pro means for, so that's getting us ready. And then our estrogen fluctuates. So it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And then if we don't get pregnant, then both hormones drop sharply. So they both go all the way down before menstruation. And this hormonal drop doesn't just affect our uterus, what's inside. It affects our brain, it affects our nervous system, it affects our energy, and it affects our emotional resilience. So for me, the energy thing. So I had plans to go and see my friends on Friday, and I just could not. I had to message them, but I've got a good friendship group. We're all in wellness, and just said sorry. I said yes when I wasn't in my luteal phase, but now I'm in my luteal phase, and I just have no energy. So, it was fine. But, it's one of those things that it just comes on, and I could not even nap on Friday. I was kind of like, it was the middle of the afternoon. I had middle of the afternoon insomnia, if that's such a thing. So this is why so many people report feeling tired, more puffy, less social, more sensitive, and significantly more irritable. And the irritable as well, like little noises or too many questions is one for me. and I see that, and I love my dogs, and I never lose patience with my dogs. But when I'm in this phase, I can feel that I've got less patience. So if I'm walking and they're going crazy, normally I'm like, come on, yeah, and I'll just laugh. I've got chihuahuas. They bark at everything that walks past. They bark at everything that breathes. But then when I'm in this phase, I'm like, right, come on, we're going home. You've been naughty today. I've got this little less bit of patience with them. And it is a cycle. It's not just random. And I think that's also comforting to know, because we know at that time, I feel like this because this is where I am in my cycle. We're not suddenly turning into, some terrible, horrible person. So let's talk about the rage, because it's not just either moody. God forbid your husband tells you that you're being moody when you're in this phase. For some women, luteal phase feels like this deep, simmering irritability where everything feels too much. That's what I feel. I'm kind of like irritated. I want to do something. Actually, last month I wanting to do something. It was a Saturday, but I didn't want to do something. But then I didn't want to sit at home and do nothing because I felt lazy. But then I didn't want to go anywhere, and I wanted to go out. But then I was like, why should I? I've got food in the house. Shouldn't have to go and pay for something. And I was kind of like in this circle in my head. So I started watching Desperate Housewives. That sorted me out. But hormonally, there is a reason for this. So it's the shifts in estrogen and progesterone that affect our neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, which are heavily involved in mood regulation. Those two hormones help our stress tolerance and our emotional steadiness. So it's your ability to cope with everyday things can feel thinner. We've got a shorter fuse, we've got less tolerance, our nervous system feels more exposed. So the same thing wouldn't bother you 2 weeks earlier. So for me, the thing that was bothering me, it actually does bother me, the thing that I had to speak to my neighbour about, but I just deal with it and I'll let it slide. But on that one day, I was like, no, this is too much. And this can be all sorts of things, that someone hasn't replied to your message, the house feels like a mess, someone chewing, the traffic, the work email, your husband asking questions. Normally it wouldn't bother you and you just answer the question. And then when you're in this phase, you're like, oh God, do you want to ask me another question? Look for it yourself. The questions that the answers are really obvious. Or what did I snap at the other day? I was still watching Desperate Housewives and working my way through, but him asking what's happened to her, and I was like, there's no point me telling you because you don't know what the story is. Like, you're just walking in on an episode. Whereas normal me would just be like, oh, this has happened. Because it all feels personal and it all feels loud and we get stressed out by it. And this is why women don't connect to cycle changes. They just think at this time, what is wrong with me? When actually the better question is, what does my body need right now? So I also think it's important to understand that the luteal phase is not just hormones in isolation. Your body is often less resourced overall. And I've learned from having my smart ring that I sleep worse during my luteal phase. So the week leading up to my bleed, so my sleep score is normally quite high, ranging from 80 to in the early 90s. 80s low for me, but then in luteal phase, it's in the 70s. So I sleep worse, so I'm more tired. My body temperature is slightly high, so I get a little bit sweaty when I'm in bed just before my period. You feel heavier, you feel puffier, your digestion is slower. I get bloated just before my period as well. Your cravings increase, energy dips, social intelligence, that's not what I'm trying to say. Social tolerance drops massively. So we're already really uncomfortable with what's going on in the world. We're mentally less buffered, which means these small inconveniences do not feel small. They feel like the final straw. They feel like the straw that broke the camel's back, and we've got to deal with it right now. And this is why we have a feeling of that we can't do one more thing for one person. We can't answer any more questions. And that makes sense because our capacity is lower. So it's not you, it's your biology. And this is one thing that we need to think about, because this is not the week to expect yourself to be endlessly patient. So this is the week where once we learn how we're going to feel, don't make the plans. Don't be hyper productive. Don't pretend everything's okay, because this is what we all try to do. We all try to push through as if we should feel the same way every single day of the month. And then we wonder why we need to explode. We need to give ourselves permission to feel it, to be in this feeling, in this way. So firstly, track it. And I'm going to secondly track it. If you don't already track your cycle, then, you're not going to see where this is coming. You might know when your period is due, but I want you to go deeper. So for me, it's around when I've got 10 days left of my cycle, I start to feel anxiety. So I know that around 10 days left would be day 18, I'm going to start feeling different. And then from then on, it kind of goes worse. For you, it might be day 23. And once you've got that feeling, once you know, right, okay, this is coming. So there's power in recognizing the patterns. So you know that your period's due on this date. So the week before, you're going to start feeling this way, so that you can then make changes and you can think, right, okay, it's just my hormones. It's my biology. I can't help this. And then you can then start to, the second thing after you've tracked it, actually, I said track to twice, didn't I? The third thing, reduce stimulation where you can. So this might be that you don't do anything during the week of your luteal phase, no plans with your friends, or cutting down a little bit, difficult family discussions, don't volunteer for everything. Be prepared to protect your energy a little bit more. Support your blood sugar is number 4. Don't undereat. Don't live on coffee. Don't skip meals and then wonder why you want to fight everyone. We need protein, we need regular meals, and we need to drink a lot of water. That matters. 4th or 5th, I've lost count now because I ruined my counting. Magnesium, sleep and nervous system support. Go for walks. Do some gentle walking. Breath work. Take some earlier nights. Skip the gym if you need to. If you're feeling a little bit more depleted, this is giving yourself a softer week, and give yourself permission to do that. This links back to what I spoke about last week with the wellness. Give yourself permission in your luteal phase to, instead of, sweating it out in the gym, put on a podcast and go for a walk. If you're in the gym, go for a walk on the treadmill instead of lifting weights, or lift lighter weights. Don't punish yourself. Don't feel like you've got to do everything exactly the same way as you were doing before. Finally, don't make any dramatic life decisions. I say this jokingly, but also not jokingly, because if every month there's 1 week where you're convinced your relationship is over, your job is unbearable, your house is disgusting, maybe wait until day 3 of your period before making any announcements. The luteal phase has a way of making everything feel catastrophic. And again, I had this last week when I had the chat, let's call it, with my neighbour. Part of me was like, I want to leave Dubai. I don't like living here. And it wasn't anything to do with that. I don't think that at all. But I had this moment where I was done and I was like, I just want to leave because of XYZ. I'm not going to go into it publicly. Now, I do want to say this though. For some women, this does go beyond standard PMS irritability. If every month you feel severe rage, panic, depression, hopelessness, or you feel like you become a completely different person and it genuinely disrupts your life, your relationships, or your ability to just function. So for me, it doesn't really disrupt my life. I know it's coming, and me and my husband, we can laugh about it, and I can still function. And I know, I track it and I know it's there and I've got the feeling and I'm like, right, okay, I'm just going to keep myself to myself today. So I'm not going to stress about it. But if you feel that it does do those things, it might be something called PMDD. Again, this is not medical advice. This is me just asking you to reflect and maybe track it a little bit more and go to your doctor. So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And this is a real hormone-based mood condition. It's not just your standard PMS. So if it feels unmanageable, please don't suffer. And don't assume it's something that you've got to tolerate. So I want you to track, document, and then go and speak to a healthcare professional, because support does exist. Now, again, just want to stress that not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I want you know, this is you being true with yourself, whether or not you can handle what comes to you at this time. If you can look back and laugh on it and you know it's coming, you're fine. Don't stress. Now, if you're listening to this thinking, oh my God, it really does get in the way and I really do feel depressed and I can't live with this every month, track it, document, go speak to your healthcare professional, and just know that it's okay. It's not you, it's biological. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can, you know, it happens. We can support it. I was going to say, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. There is, we can support it. Obviously, it's happening inside, so we can't control that, but we can support how we act on the outside and also whether or not it's getting in the way. I'm rambling now. But for so many women, so I had to take a deep breath, the biggest shift is this. Stop judging yourself during your luteal phase. Don't let your luteal phase judge you. Start preparing for luteal you, because she is not failing at life. So make a note, know where you're at. You know, tell your husband. The main thing for me is I'll say I'm in my luteal phase. So then if I am a little bit snappy, and it's not an excuse, I try not to be snappy, and I will say, sorry, that wasn't me, that was my luteal phase. You know, just prepare for that. And she has a lower capacity to you. She needs different support. Prepare for that. Maybe she needs less social interaction. Okay, so like I said, I cancel my evening with my friends. Maybe she needs more sleep. So for me, when I'm in my luteal phase, some afternoons I'll go for a coffee or I go for some food. If I'm in that phase, I'll come home and have a nap in between my classes. Maybe she needs more protein. Maybe she needs simpler meals. So you will know all of this when you really start tapping in to what makes you feel good. Maybe she needs fewer expectations. Can you block off your calendar that week and just not do anything and just let yourself go with the flow? And the point really is fighting against your luteal phase version actually does make it worse. What makes it easier for you and her is understanding her, that version of you. You're not becoming a horrible person every month. Your body's just asking for you to pay a little bit more attention. And I would love to know if you experience luteal phase rage, because I know this conversation is resonating with so many of you right now. Send me a message. Tell me, what's your biggest luteal phase symptom? So, you know, maybe it's not rage. Maybe you've got some other symptoms, because I am not alone. I know I'm not alone in the chewing thing, because I know a lot of my friends at this are just the chew. Yes, last time I was on in my luteal phase, I felt like I was getting annoyed by chewing. I was sat on the sofa and could hear the chewing behind me, and I did have to take a breath. I'm not going to mention it, but I could hear the chewing, and I was trying to watch my Desperate Housewives, and I was like, oh God. The joke in this house as well is that I think the dog's chewing is cute. So why is the dog chewing cute, but the husband chewing not? Anyway, let me know. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next episode.